Bantamweight bout here. Dan Argueta coming in at plus 175 against Ronnie Lawrence, minus 175 for Lawrence. Over under 2.5 rounds, minus 220 for the over, plus 220 for the under. Both guys 4-1 in their last 5. Dan Argueta got the win in his last time out against Nick Aguirre, and I believe that was a short notice fight for Aguirre. His debut against Damon Jackson, I think he took that one on short notice against Damon Jackson and made it to a decision, but ultimately lost. He was on the Ultimate Fighter season 29 with Volkanovski and Ortega. And he's coming in here against Ronnie Lawrence, who I can't get a read on because the man got so many takedowns in his first 3 appearances within the UFC. One of them was on the Contender Series, but he got 12 takedowns on the Contender Series against Jose Johnson, and then 8 takedowns in his debut against Vince Cachero, 6 takedowns in his next fight against Amanda Martinez, and then he gets taken down 10 times by Said Yakub Kakhramonov, and then Kakhramonov gets cut. So I don't even know what does that even mean? Like, I don't even, Kakhramonov, he should be in the UFC. Like, that guy is really good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, all right, well, your wrestling's good, Ronnie, but how good is it? Because you just got smoked by another wrestler. And Argueta has some solid wrestling, and we just saw it in his last fight, 4 takedowns, 10 minutes of ground control time. So I'm looking at this one like plus money on Dan Argueta against Ronnie Lawrence, who just got out wrestled in his last fight. Maybe not looking too bad. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, and I've kind of gone back and forth. Like, this should be a really fun fight if you're into wrestling and grappling. Like, this is going to be high-paced guys that are looking to get the fight to the ground. I love watching Ronnie Lawrence fight in some of his fights because that pace he puts on guys with the wrestling is just relentless, man. Just over and over and over, and seems like he's got the gas tank to hold up. And also has some hands, too. I mean, we've seen him land the knockouts. The guy's pretty well-rounded, in my opinion. But I was talking to you. I don't know if he's got like a legit wrestling background or if he just kind of picked it up when he got into mixed martial arts, but he's pretty damn good. But the thing that worries me is you see him go up against the actual wrestler in Said Jacob, and he just gets dominated. Taken down 10 times in that fight is insane. But it's almost like the same story with Dan Argueta because he does have a wrestling background, and he showed it in his last fight, getting 4 takedowns. But he goes up against Damon Jackson, and he gets controlled for the first 2 rounds, and really couldn't do anything. I know Damon Jackson's a good grappler, but you would think Dan's pedigree of wrestling and his background would have at least had him be able to get out of some of those positions and get the fight where he wanted it to. But UFC debut, sometimes, the nerves, the jitters, you're not exactly fighting your like your normal self. So this is going to be interesting, though. If Ronnie Lawrence isn't this phenomenal wrestler that he's shown in some fights, I think Dan is gonna be able to get the fight where he wants it and steal rounds based off control and landing maybe the bigger shots. But if Ronnie puts everything together with the pace and the solid striking, landing good combinations, good volume, as the fight goes on, I could see Dan Argueta kind of gassing out a little bit. He holds a lot of muscle, and there's a lot of muscle on that dude. He's jacked, and he does kind of slow down as the fights go on. His arms look a little heavier. His shots aren't as powerful as they were in the beginning of the fight. So I could see this fight being like another split decision fight. Both guys have similar skill sets. Both guys are going to have the similar game plan. And it's just going to be who can implement it better. And right now, it's kind of hard to tell which guy's going to be able to do that. Give me Argueta. I'm going to take Argueta for the pick, just because I think that wrestling background will take him a little bit further here.
Yeah, I think this one should be a little bit closer as far as the line goes, because Argueta was a plus 500 underdog to Damon Jackson. Ended up losing that fight 29-28. He got controlled for most of the first 2 rounds against Damon Jackson. A lot of it was he was on Damon Jackson had his back, and he was just kind of like defending chokes, hitting him with those little short shots to the back of the head. And then the 3rd round, he had a little spurt at the end and took the 3rd round. But that was coming off of a month before that. He had a 5-round title fight in LFA, which he won by split decision. So, I mean, I would assume he took that fight like he just had to get in the UFC. It was short notice against a guy that needed a fight. So, I mean, he put out a good showing too. Like he was undefeated at that point. He had an exhibition loss to Tercios in the Tough House, but that's his only loss like on his career or on his record. So I put this fight like a little bit closer to like plus 130 for Argueta, maybe minus 130 for Ronnie Lawrence. So I think there's probably more value on the dog. But like you said, I think it's probably could be like a split decision fight. It probably goes the distance. Neither guy has like big submission skills. Neither guy has big knockout power. Both guys are pretty durable. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe take one of them by decision if you like them. A little sweeten it up, or just play the dog. I think it's probably dog or pass to me. After seeing what Ronnie Lawrence got done to him by Said Yakab, I can't back him at chalk in his next fight. So I'll take Argueta for the sake of the show, and we'll ride with him.